welcome to the Sunday Superversive Livestream. I am your host, Ben Wheeler, and here, we're going to be talking about the Summer Anime Fandom Famine 2020. COVID has sadly taken another bite out of the things we love, and now we only have a paltry handful of shows to talk about, of which maybe like what, three, four are relevant at best. Uh, I'm
Yeah,
joined, yeah, I'm joined by Anthony Marchetta as always, and we won't really have any guests here, probably. Um, but we'll see.
nobody. I don't have anybody that I have in the wings, so
That's fair.
nobody that I know of.
I do want to shill out for a couple of our friends. David Halquist's climax to his Warrior trilogy has been released, and I have a link down there. And also, we have the Indiegogo for Star Knight Saga Book 2, Hounds of Nimrod. Star Knight Saga is by Bradford Walker. It's mecha knight action, and that gets me going. Uh, his Indiegogo is starting to get a nice little fund going. And I myself will be buying the $40 signed copy, which is always lovely because I love a good signed copy, don't you? They often leave genetic information on there, and soon my clone army of authors will be complete.
I actually have a decently sized connection of signed books. I have Artemis Fowl. I have The Martian, Andy Weir. I do have John C. Wright.
Oh, I've got tons of John
Uh,
C. Wright. It makes me happy. All
uh,
right.
yeah, I'm not a bad collection of signed things, but
Right.
probably $40 right now. Not the time for me to do that.
Right. It's more because I like supporting all of my favorite authors and people. Like even if the book's kind of mediocre or not my style, if it's somebody I view as support, I'll throw them $5. It's like it's the least we can do these days. We got to support the fiction we want to see. Uh, now
Exactly.
now of course, if it's during plague years, maybe maybe we can't really get the fiction we want to see as much as we ought to. Um, and that's a sad day. This makes this panda a sad panda. Um, the two shows that I'm watching, I guess you can guess the first one, Monster Girl Doctor, and the second one is Decadence, which we're gonna have a conversation about later. How about you? What are you watching?
Right now, I am following three shows. One new one, which is Decadence. Sorry, I'm not following Monster Girl Doctor. Uh,
Charlatan.
maybe I will try it. Maybe I will try it, but at the moment, I am not following Monster Girl Doctor, but I am following Decadence, and yes, that is worth talking about for both good and bad reasons. And I'm following two sequel seasons in No Guns Life, which was one of my favorite anime of the year last year, and ReZero, which I thought was pretty decent, but they've been waiting on the sequel for like a really long time, and everybody was super hyped about it. And so far, the first two episodes were pretty decent. So that's what I'm following in terms of anime at the moment.
hmm So let's talk about those two sequels first. I No Guns Life is a cyberpunk show I wish I followed more. The first season was excellent, and you say that the second season was pretty good as well.
Two episodes in, they've been pretty solid.
Excellent. So I remember they were fighting over this kid in the first season. Though my memory's pretty poor at this point because I never actually finished the season. I don't know why. I loved every episode I watched. Are they still? What's the plot line for the second season?
The plotline for the second season has brought in terrorists. If you remember Mary was the mechanic. Her brother is like a terrorist, and Juzo is about to take him on.
Oh,
I have No Gun's life now on Wikipedia. Uh, I'm looking for her brother in the yeah, in the cast list because I'm wondering if they're about to kill him off, but I don't think so because they spent a couple episodes setting him up,
Oh, I don't
and now
know.
that we
I don't know. A
they
couple
just
episodes setting him up. Oh, that's a dangerous position to be
well,
in.
I mean, he was he's Mary's brother. They spend a couple episodes setting him up, so I feel like they're probably gonna try and keep him alive for the long haul. But he's weird. He is an overextended. So he has like a Glasgow smile grin on his face, and he's with the terrorist organization.
Hmm.
He apparently gave Juzo his first job as a resolver, but now he's like super anti-extended. So I guess they're going for he's a he's an overextended who's allied with like the anti-extended terrorists, so some sort of self-hatred thing.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly how they're going to go about resolving all of this, but with that said, that's where the story is at now. And Tetsuro, that was the name. As I'm looking through the cast list, Tetsuro was the name of the kid who Juzo rescues early on. Tetsuro was just kidnapped again. Tetsuro's always kidnapped.
Right. I getcha. Let's see here. So for ReZero, you said that it was starting pretty strong as well.
Yes. ReZero started off pretty well. ReZero, it's all of the typical things that were my issues with it, as well as the things that I thought were pretty good about it. I think the fact this is a nitpick, but it's something that does distract me because of how distinct their costumes are. But the fact that they wear their iconic outfits in every situation now is getting a little bit silly. Like that Rem is off with some sort of if you remember Rem, I don't know.
I do.
She was yeah
I think
for
we
peop
talked about this
for
actually. Did we?
we did briefly.
Yeah.
For people who don't know who Rem is, so ReZero is an isekai, right?
Yeah.
And the gimmick of ReZero is that the main character is immortal. If he dies, he respawns at something like a save point. So if he tells anybody about it, then something bad will happen. I don't know. He'll die, or somebody else will die, or something. It has something to do with a curse by the arch villain of the series, like the witch, who we haven't met, but who everybody is terrified of in the show. So Subaru, our main character, like falls in love with the princess Amelia and ends up ingratiating himself into her household and whatever. And the maid of the household, or the two maids of the household, Ram and Rem, one of the maids, Rem, falls in love with Subaru, and she became like, one of the big waifus of the show. She kind of went viral in her own right as a blue-haired devoted girlfriend type, maid outfit.
Oh.
And she is at the beginning of season 2, like traveling with somebody, not connected to the family that she works with. And for some reason, while traveling with them, despite having nobody who's in her employment around her, she is still dressed in her maid outfit.
Right. Hold on.
And
I'm gonna put something in there. There we go. Maids on skateboards doing a crooked grind. Yeah. That's an accurate image of like the weirdness of someone going out in their maid outfit. Like maid outfits,
yeah,
they didn't even do that in like Victorian England unless it was like just down the street. You know what I mean? Like if they're within the
is
same subdivision, like they didn't go out there unless they were being a maid outside and not just like shopping or going on a date or something.
it's Yeah, and Pax Romana, who is our friend Ken. Hi, Ken. Said, "Is Anthony whining about Rem's maid outfit again?" Yes, we brought up ReZero. I'm bringing up the maid outfit. Deal with it. Uh, you know what? It distracted me. It's a nitpick. It doesn't really make a difference as to the overall quality of the episode, which was pretty good. There was a nice gut punch moment when there was a reveal that everybody forgot, like, that Rem existed except for the main character. And I thought that was well done and it was effective.
Yeah.
And I'm invested because I like Rem, I guess. She's a fine character.
Hmm.
Uh, and overall, I thought it was an effective first episode and how it set up the season. But the outfits thing with Subaru also still wearing his tracksuit is also really strange to me. Uh, the outfits thing distracts me with ReZero. That's my general, and honestly, the reason I keep bringing it up is because that's my general impression with ReZero. Something about ReZero does not sit right with me. It's not as good. I don't like it as much as I should be liking it. And I'm not 100% sure why. There's the little details like the fact that they don't really change the outfits a lot, but just something about it. I think when I see people who I respect, like Alexander going all in on ReZero, who really, really love ReZero and think it's like the greatest show ever. And I watch it and I go, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
Honestly,
and
I've never been impressed by ReZero. I've talked about it on this channel before. The big problem is it's always a little edgy where it doesn't need to be, or things are a little bit hype when they don't need to be. And to me, I just can't really stand it as much as people um, might expect. Just because it's like I don't I don't it's one of those things. It's like the feel is all kinds of wrong. You know what I mean?
yeah, something is off about ReZero to me. And I've said it before, and I it's the same as before. Alexander's big thing is Alexander really loves character-driven dramas, and he really likes the character stuff with Subaru, how Subaru undergoes so much development, and he's complex and whatever. And my reaction was, okay, so Subaru is fine. Subaru is a good protagonist, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
to be clear here, I don't have anything bad to say about him as a protagonist. He fits this show well. And it's true, he does undergo development. Like, he does have an arc. He does grow as the show goes on. I guess what my problem is that I don't think that the show is particularly like it's not doing anything outstanding with him. They're doing the bare minimum of characterization for a show like this. Subaru has an arc.
Oh
Like,
ho ho!
okay, that's better than most isekai. That's
Right.
true, and I will legitimately give it that. And it's not badly written. I will also give it that. Subaru is a fine character, but like, it's not doing anything you know, that interesting or that groundbreaking. Has an arc is not the most.
They're
It,
just
it
doing the
I feel like it's
basics.
not something that yeah. I feel like it's not something that we should be praising that highly, and the fact that we are it says something very bad about the state of the isekai genre. And I know that not all protagonists need arcs. Look at Juzo from No Gun's Life. He's a
Hmm.
good example of a protagonist who doesn't need an arc.
Yeah, but
But
he's
for the type of story that ReZero is, you do need one
yeah,
to make it palatable. And
especially with the
he has
characters,
it.
who are there, like Juzo from it's Juzo, right? From uh, No Guns
Yeah,
Life
the
is
main character of No
right.
Gun's Life is Juzo.
Right. He's already, been through a lot of his stuff here.
Development.
Yeah. And, he was in what, a war or two, and he's doing these things, and he's been a private detective, which is already, like you don't have a boring life if you become a private detective. You know what I mean? and it's
Yeah.
mostly. Uh, ooh. But the whole like ReZero thing is that he's this otaku who now all of a sudden has to develop all these different things, and he doesn't have them. And honestly, like the reason why people change up people's clothing throughout a season is to show that character development. Like it's incredibly important. Like when a character gets ready, he should put on his adventuring clothes, or so on and so forth. Like it's clothing makes a measure of what the reader can expect from the series of events that are about to take place.
Right. Miyazaki is a master at this. Howl's Moving Castle is effectively a story in how changing character design tells it's a great example of how changing character designs tell story. You could compare the shot of Hal and Sophie at the end of the movie to Hal and Sophie at the beginning of the movie, and they look
Mm-hmm.
completely different. And it tells you everything you need to know about the arc and the journey that the characters went on.
Yep. Like and even then, like Sophie herself is a visual metaphor for the character development that she's going through. Um, she starts out and she's brown haired, boring looking, doesn't really do anything for herself. And then by the end of it, she's got more of a confident look. Her clothing actually looks chosen more than just, whatever, this is what I've got.
Yeah, the whole thing. Her hair is pulled back like super tight to the point where it looks like she's stretching out her face, and then in the final shot, her hair is loose around her. She's wearing this small hat on top of her head, which again goes to make everything about her look very uptight. And she's wearing this
Hmm.
big, beautiful hat at the end.
Yep.
She has
Which isn't to hide
she
herself.
right. She has her hair is now silver, which is partially to symbolize how she won't forget the lessons that she learned as an old woman, but
Hmm.
also because it just shows that she's now a distinct person who, like you said, makes interesting choices. Ken says in the chat, "Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorite dubs. Christian Bale phoned it in, but I managed to get one of the best actresses of the classic age to play Sophie. That's Lauren Bacall, right? I thought she played the Witch of the Waste, unless it's not Lauren Bacall you're referring to. But either way, yes, Lauren Bacall was in it. My sister tells me after reading the book that Christian Bale's performance as Hal was actually dead on to the way he's portrayed in the book. So take that for what it's worth. I thought that
I
he
was
kind
fine with it.
I thought he kind of phoned it in too, but she says that if you read the book, he's actually like dead on. He's described specifically as kind of sounding motionless. That's sort of the
Yep. And it's have you read the book yet?
point.
I mean, it's well, I mean, no points here,
The
buddy.
problem is he doesn't really have that much.
Right. And
Simmons played Old Sophie. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at you shooting things in this game in the background. Anyway, whatever. The point is that ReZero, so we said all of this, and the point I'm making is ReZero does what it has to do. Like, none of
it does what it has to do. Anthony, just when
this
he
is
was
to insult ReZero, because I'm saying it has to do this. It does. A moment.
not going to die to this rat.
He has to do, or the story does the minimum that it has. That's it.
Yes,
No, I don't think
Anthony, you're cutting in and out. Hmm. Any, you there,
Let me
Anthony?
test my microphone. Yes.
Okay, good.
Let me test my microphone. I had to switch earlier and then I got cut off, so maybe I can fix it. Either way, go ahead.
Yep. So like I hate things that just do the bare minimum. Like there's a certain amount of like, oh, it's just the first draft quality thing going on. But in actuality, it doesn't quite do anyone any good, because then it's very much like, oh well, I don't have to try because it's oh because it's the first draft. Ooh, look at me go. And it's like, no, like you should have, when you finish your first draft, you should have the the full feel of what your book is going to be about, and it should be a little prototype of your book. If it is not a little prototype of your book, you're making a mistake with how you're going about it. Like people are like, well, the what's the word I want? The outline, something I don't use, because I'm better than all of them. What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I just want to make sure that my input device is working.
All right. But basically, it's how do I want to? How do I want to say it? Basically, isekai appeals to a certain amount of the lowest common denominator. It doesn't take risks, and it doesn't um, really do anything that we can't expect from fan fiction. As hard as it is to hear, that your favorite show is basically fan fiction of fan fiction of fan fiction. I am glad to tell you that it is indeed fan fiction of fan fiction of fan fiction. With the dang, with things like ReZero, which have a little bit more teeth to them, they're a little bit more interesting. You can't really insult them and trigger them like that. But the thing is, it's still very, very hard to say, well, what stakes are there to do it? Well, the stake is literally Subaru suffering. That might sound weird, but like, I hate these guys just popping in because I'm always out of position. Uh, it may sound weird, but like we want Subaru to suffer the least because he is supposedly the main character of this series. If he's not the main character of this series, which is something you could actually argue for Amelia and a few other characters, like he is ancillary to his own story, the cuck. Uh,
Yeah, I think you could actually, now that I think about it, you can make a pretty strong argument, although I don't know if it would be the right one or not, but you can make a pretty strong argument that Amelia is the real main character. All of Subaru's goals revolve around helping her
yep,
for no reason except that he totally wants to.
yep, and it's it hurts the character development. Have a good one, Ken. Um, it hurts the character development and stakes of the story quite a bit, because then all of a sudden it's a very strong question of, why does this matter? If it doesn't even matter to the author, to the main character, to everyone, um, why should it matter to me? And then all of a sudden you've killed a lot of your potential drama, your character development, your interest. Uh, it just doesn't exist anymore, because then it's like, why does it matter? Like, apparently saving Amelia matters, but I see a witch, and witches getting burned isn't like a bad state of mind for me to be in. So why should I care? I'm almost
Well,
joking.
the whole thing with Amelia is that she looks like the witch, right? And this
Yeah, or
terrifies
something.
people. There are like two things with her. She's half elf, which people don't like, and she looks like the witch, which people don't like.
Yep.
But ReZero, look, I have long been on the record as somebody who really, really dislikes the isekai genre. I contend that there is one great isekai in Log Horizon, and one very good isekai, or I should say modern isekai, I guess, because some of the older stuff like Escaflowne is pretty good, but modern isekai in
Yep.
Log Horizon, and one pretty good isekai in the Saga of Tanya the Evil. And then you get No Game No Life, which I think has kind of a razor's edge balancing act as something that is like just barely not a parody
Right.
and and works on that level. So I think it's almost in its own category there.
Well.
Because I do like No Game
Mhm.
No Life, but
Right.
I for that reason, I think it's pretty funny. I thought the movie, which looks at it from a more serious angle, was quite good. But
Yeah.
the movie was also an isekai.
Yeah. It was its own story compared to well, everything else in that series. Um,
Yeah, and I quite liked it, by the way. No Game No Life Zero is really good, but
yeah. No argument here. Um, no, thinking about No Game No Life, it's like there's the humor there is also better. Like the stakes are also better. Like you care about the characters way more, even though it's very weird. Um, it gets
it's
very
extremely
weird.
weird. The
Uh,
thing about No Game No Life is that I watched it at first and I wasn't sure what to think of it because it was very entertaining. Just because it's all very entertainingly done. And
hmm
it looks fantastic, of course,
right.
which I think everybody kind of agrees with, unless you don't jive with the visual style, and not everybody will, I guess. But
I love the visual
on
style.
just uniqueness, it looks interesting.
hmm
And that's, yeah, I agree. I think it looks great. So, and the ideas in it are all very interesting. The concept is interesting, the world of games and all of that stuff. Uh, Digibro, I think Digibro's biggest contribution to the critical community is going to be, you know, the otaku hero's journey and kind of I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Signaling out, I guess, or parsing out the otaku hero's journey concept. And you watch enough Digibro that you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably his biggest contribution to the critical community is his parsing out of the otaku hero's journey concept, which No Game No Life follows like scarily close to a T. But I don't think that No Game No Life would work at all if it wasn't as tongue in cheek as it was. It is very tongue in cheek. I
hmm
initially wasn't sure what I thought of it. I went back and I watched like the first few episodes of it, went back later after a break and found it much funnier the second time. Maybe now that I knew what I was getting into. Uh, and I knew the tone of the show and what it was trying to do. I was able to appreciate the humor a lot more, and I found No Game
Yeah.
No Life very funny. It is not superversive. I would not recommend it as a superversive show, and I recommend it almost as much as a parody as a legitimate show. However, it is a very good example of the otaku hero's journey, and that does give it an extra level of depth. Uh, ReZero, I guess, is also the otaku hero's journey, but it's not as funny.
Right.
It's not as clever in its ideas.
Right. Which is honestly as important as most everything else, because a lot of this stuff revolves around wordplay, word games, so on and so forth, that honestly don't translate as well or even cared about as much in American circles. So it's like
Hmm.
you like with Monogatari, it's almost entirely Japanese puns because Onisin is fairly, I don't know what to call him, but point is he's fairly something. You know what I mean? And of course, when you're stuck with that sort of thing, it's just kind of if the puns don't stand up to anything, nothing's gonna stand up for it with your show. Yeah, it's all
uh,
comes down to Japanese
by the
puns.
way, for those who don't know, a very brief rundown. The Otaku Hero's Journey is a storytelling structure that you see show up in a lot of Japanese anime and manga. Uh, Not as often in America, though I'm sure that if you searched hard enough, you would find something sooner or later. Maybe in crappy books like what's the name, Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah, for all I know, I would need to sit down with it and then see if it matched or not. But the Otaku Hero's Journey was something that was noticed by the critic Digibro, who I've mentioned before. I do not agree with him on many substantial issues, and he is openly a degenerate, but I have a lot of respect for him as an analyst, and I think this was his biggest contribution in terms of the critical discussion around anime and manga. Basically, the idea goes that the Otaku Hero's Journey is about a hero who was at rock bottom and who is now given the opportunity to fix things the way that he always would have wanted to all along. And he's not afraid of failure because the bottom is where he lives and he's used to it. And he knows that if everybody just listened to him because he's an observer, he watches what people do and how they interact, and he can see how to fix the system. It's just that nobody will listen to him.
Gamma.
Now they have the
Gamma.
opportunity.
Gamma.
Yeah,
Coffin.
it could be Gamma. It depends on how it's done.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
And no, I agree. Like, don't get me wrong, you're right about this. This is why I mentioned that No Game, No Life. It's very important. I think that it had to be as tongue in cheek as it was. Subaru, on the other hand, is definitely a gamma. I don't even think this is an insult to the show. It's just that's what the character is like, right?
Yep.
So, No Game, No Life. He's certainly a gamma, but then that's kind of partially the point. He's a creepy weirdo loser, and it's funny. They're
Yeah.
making fun of him as much as they're on his side.
Right.
However, a good example of an otaku hero's journey, though, that I don't think stars a gamma but has these elements is Doctor Stone. Doctor Stone is a perfect example of this. In the real world, he would be a nerd. He would be a science nerd, somebody who sees things from a different perspective than everybody else, but is on the bottom of the social totem pole. Now he's put into a world where he could recreate it in his own image. And he's mastered the system. He's cracked the code, right?
Yep.
Science is going to be what saves everyone. So now he's going to recreate society under his direction. And since he's cracked the code, everybody's going to win, right?
Yep.
Steins Gate is another good example of the otaku hero's journey. He literally goes back in time over and over again until he can get the win state where World War III doesn't happen and he gets the girl and his friend lives. And given the opportunity to replay that same day over and over again, he does. And then I'm not going to go into more detail because that's like literally worth an entire discussion, but there are various
Hmm.
subtleties involving, the living computer and the companions of the otaku hero. But there's a good example of a non-gamma otaku hero's journey.
Right.
Dr. Stone.
And
He,
Doctor Stone
I
is
would not call him a gamma.
right. It wouldn't be accurate at all. The I would call him a Sigma more than anything else. And he's
Yeah,
got and his greatest strength is respecting his Delta friends. To use
you know what?
the
I would
terms.
actually, yeah, you're right about that. I would actually say that the otaku hero's journey would probably almost always star either the sigma or the gamma.
Yep.
And the better ones will tend to star the sigma. The ones that star gamma will either be tongue in cheek, like that are good, I should say. Will either be tongue in cheek, like No Game, No Life,
Hmm.
or they will have various other things going for them, like ReZero, which again, as we're criticizing it, I do consider it good.
Weird.
Yeah, I think ReZero is good, just not great.
So here's the thing. I view it as well made and is probably better than its peers. I do not view it as good, and I will never call it good.
I get that. Like, Alexander's whole thing with it, I get why he loves it. I could immediately see when he said it's one of my favorite shows. I go, okay, I get it. He really likes character dramas and all of that, and they like torturing Subaru, you
Right.
know.
It's always a great
And
time when
they
you're
go,
torturing Subaru, but
and they spend a long time on the characters in the mansion, them getting to know each other, right? So I can
right,
absolutely see why it would appeal to him specifically.
right. But it's like, to me, it's like character development isn't enough. All this stuff isn't enough. What I want is meat, and I want stuff to mean something. A lot of the stuff, while I approve of Subaru's, like, I gotta win no matter what and suffer through it all, appeals to something very Protestant in me. I and Celtic as well, and German. I don't consider it like. Ugh. I don't really care to hear much about it because it's like, well, you've got these people. It's about his desire, I guess. How his desire is made through the actions of the characters and their surrounding sort of writing. I guess the whole package. Just because it's very much. How do I want to put it? I'm gonna pause this for a second. The
By
problem
the way,
with
what game is this again? Because
it's,
it looks pretty good.
it's called Dusk. It's a lot of fun. Um,
Okay, keep
I
going.
just
I'm
got
sorry.
people. I just thought people would get tired of Risk of Rain too. So, ReZero. Its good parts is that it does spend time with the characters, and it does have an overarching plot that isn't just let's all kill the Demon King, the Demon King, the Demon King. And then, like, all of a sudden, they're all arm in arm, kick dancing their way down whatever plot train tracks leads them to the Demon King. Until, like the reason why I think Goblin Slayer's maligned is because some people called it like an isekai world. It's more like lit RPG than it is isekai, and I hate both. I don't hate lit RPG. I just don't like it too much because it always feels like the same stories. But it's
Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Is pretty good.
I don't know if video games cause violence, but I had a very vivid imagining of me finding tracking you down. But the
Yeah.
uh, that show tried so hard. It tried so hard, and I hated it for
I
trying
like
so hard.
look. I like. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? I would call it. Uh, I don't. I know that there are people who don't like the term guilty pleasure, but I think it makes sense here. I would say guilty pleasure works. Uh,
Alright.
I I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I like it. However, I certainly would not tell. If somebody asked me like, what are the best shows, that would not make a list.
Okay. Good. Good.
But I enjoy watching it.
hmm So with ReZero, my problems are I don't like the protagonist. I don't like the trappings of the world set around them because I do view it as medieval generic. I guess I'm going to coin
Yes,
that term, medieval generic. Uh, but
agreed.
you might be like, but there's cat boys. You mean cat girls, right? No, cat boys. There's elves
Yes,
and
cat
stuff like
boys.
that. Oh, I know. I was making the joke that's like,
Shut up. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
There's cat boy. There's cat girl. Shut up. It's medieval generic. You know it.
right,
I know it. Who are we
right.
kidding?
And so, like, there's that. There's the problem with people changing clothes, which I know he changes clothes on occasion, but there's a
Yes.
certain level of there doesn't seem to be any character development that really matters other than Subaru's suffering meter is somewhere around 2/3 full, perhaps. Whatever, and also, like, here's something else. I don't like to talk about it too much, but I see what the ending's going to be. Something's going to
Oh.
happen, and he's not going to be able to take back somebody's death. Basically, the whatever's blessing him so that he saves scumming.
We kind of already did that
No, no, no.
with
This is
Rem. I know
That's
that she's not dead, but
so. In other words, they took
that
it
was already
back.
kind of
They
that
took
was
it
already
back
kind
because
of.
she's not dead.
The other thing is that that's perfectly acceptable for a finale. That's like,
It
One
is,
Punch Man.
but
One Punch Man in his finale will fight somebody who will take more than one punch. He
right.
could do that once.
So here's the
That's it.
no. He's gonna fight God, like whoever's giving it all the metahumans their power and making the monsters, who people
Yeah,
call God.
probably.
Like that's what the fight's gonna be. But it's maybe, or maybe he'll fight
It
Blast.
makes a
Who
lot of
knows?
sense.
Right.
They're pushing Garrow big,
So that well,
but whatever.
Garrow, the web comics already way past that, and Garrow went down in a couple punches. But it's but
Oh, he took
one
two.
oh he did. But then like
Was that no? Was that no? I'm curious now. This is very. I know that we're off top, but did they make that notable that he took two punches?
no. So like here's the thing, like Garrow's been pumping himself up. Eventually he pumped himself up so much that like he overdid it. And now like Saitama's just like it's like, dude, what's wrong with you? You've been juicing that power fantasy too long. It's worth reading, and I need to reread
That's
it
what
just to
makes
get it.
one. Well, that's what makes one great too.
Yeah.
That he'll that'll have that'll have that little bit in there that Saitama and Mob and whatever are actually like good role models in their own weird ways. But
Yep.
whatever.
But let's
Keep
talk
going.
about ReZero's ending. I know I just
Right.
said the most generic thing
Continue.
ever, but here's the thing. Here's what makes it bad. If Saitama gets into a fight with God, and it's the truest, most greatest fight we've ever seen, and then the guy who's doing the crazy awesome manga does like the most crazy awesome fight you've ever seen, like you do it, you sit down, you read it, and you contemplate suicide. It's so good. You're like, nothing will ever top this thing. What's going to happen in the final chapter is Saitama's going to have to wake up, and he's going to have to go to his retail job. Like it wasn't a dream, like it was a real fight, but then Saitama goes back to just being normal, except he's bored again. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, I was the one. He's not even going to do that. He's like, that was satisfying. But now what do I do? So it's except everything's going to be to normal. Like the subversion won't stop. It'll give us that awesome, amazing fight, but then it'll give us the morning after where it's like, yeah, dude, we don't need you anymore. You stopped all the monsters. Good job.
Uh, I get what you're saying, but I do think that knowing one, I would guess, and this is all, of course, speculation, but he'll be a little bit more optimistic, I think, than
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
I think you're right that he'll have like that next day where he'll go now what, but I think he'll have an answer, if that
Yes.
makes sense.
Like it'll there'll be something there. I'm not going to say it's going to be hopeless or anything like that. I'm saying that this is the likely trajectory the story arc's going to take. Nobody, he's not going to die. He might try to sacrifice himself, but it'll work out and it'll subvert his sacrifice, so he has to be forced to live a normal non-superhero life. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter what happens. But we know basically what the story beats are. We want to see how they do it because the writer is a true great writer. With ReZero, I don't get that feeling. We know that at a certain point, he won't be able. He'll be forced to either do. I'm gonna say there's two forms it could take. They take away his resurrection and send him back to the beginning of the story and force him to do it one more time from the beginning. No saves coming. Or secondly, they'll take it from him and they're going to kill some popular characters just for arbitrary reasons. Even though they've done it before, it doesn't matter. And then they'll force him to finish the thing without going through it. Now, it could be a good moment, and he could use all the skills that he's used up to here to win the fight, which is certainly a possibility. But the problem is that I don't see the humor, the special feeling, like One Punch Man is like, yeah, you know, He's got to go to his retail job again. He's back to walking the beat. You see him bald in a suit, and he's thinking, "Man, I've beat the boss, and now I have to get a new job." Like it'll be, and he'll be eating something, and like Genos is like a janitor or something. It doesn't matter what. The point is, it'll be funny. It'll be
I get
fresh.
what you're saying.
But I don't think ReZero will be able to pull that off. Like Log Horizon will pull it off. I've seen some of the things in the future. There's some interesting story arcs to come. There's a whole China arc with
Really?
one of the characters. Oh yeah,
I'm
uh,
happy to hear that because I'm really looking forward to Lock Horizon Season 3. By
yep,
the way, there's another Otaku's Hero Journey story done right.
yep. And it's like what what ReZero does by halves. Things like Log Horizon and One Punch Man do in full. Log Horizon will play it straight. One Punch Man will subvert our expectations in a way that doesn't make us feel bad. ReZero will try for an emotional high that'll make us feel good, like One Punch Man certainly will, like a Log Horizon certainly will. But the author will not be able to help himself, and he will subvert his own story in a way that makes everything miserable. There may be a happy ending in the end, but it'll feel forced and it'll feel arbitrary, not natural to Subaru's character arc or to the events of the finale. Yeah, that's all I got.
Interesting. Us. I don't know. Here, I'll tell you what my problem, if and again, this is for the record, none of this is actually a problem yet. This is all what we suspect will be, and maybe it will surprise me. But I don't really see how he can end up with Amelia.
You see that be a
It
part of
doesn't
it.
make
You see that's what I'm
it
talking about.
doesn't.
Sorry.
No, I get. That's what I mean. Like, I get what you're saying. Now, maybe the story will be smarter than I thought it was. Or it will be smarter than I think it will be. But there's just something about ReZero that always seemed off to me, and I've never been able to put my finger specifically on what, because it doesn't really do anything wrong per se.
Right.
It does everything that it has to do. It's just that it doesn't do anything that makes me think it's being particularly outstanding either. Uh, Lock Horizon is different. Lock Horizon is different for a variety of reasons. It does not have the same, you know, depth of characterization, I guess, as they're attempting in ReZero with Subaru. Why everybody talks about Subaru being such a fantastic character. Uh, like Shiro is the main character of Log Horizon, and I would say he does not have as much of an arc, though there is an arc there, but it's not as dramatic. However, Log Horizon does do several things that ReZero doesn't try to do, and that's it juggles a much larger cast of characters with more co-equal screen time. ReZero has a big cast, and it deserves credit for that because I give credit to anybody who has to anyone with ambition. If you're trying to juggle a big, that's difficult. That's something that's worth appreciating, and they do all have distinct personalities, and they are do all occupy their own roles in the story. However, I think that Log Horizon gives more attention to people who aren't Shiro. At its
Hmm.
leads, I know that ReZero just gave Amelia its movie, but I mean, like, they skip around in Log Horizon. We get episodes where that princess of the NPC people, the people of the land, is like the protagonist of a couple of episodes. We get episodes with Akatsuki. We get episodes with the little girl who has a crush on Shiro.
Yep.
I can't remember any of their names, which is a shame because that makes it sound like they're not memorable. But trust me, they were good characters.
Right.
Uh, all of these people will sometimes have their roles in the spotlight, and then Shiro will eventually rotate in to kind of you know, take the reins.
Hmm.
The other thing about Shiro, though, that unlike Subaru, and this is why I always say that I guess Subaru's fine. as a character, and he works and he does what he has to do. But there's nothing very interesting about Subaru in that, like, what is he? He is okay. So Subaru's characterization, if I were to summarize it, is he is a gamma loser otaku, right?
Yep.
Who imprints on Amelia basically and makes her his waifu. And this causes him to white knight, and he has to learn that he's actually being a selfish asshole. And this is all in there, and he does learn and he does grow, and that's great. This is all good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he does this. I genuinely appreciate that the narrative recognizes this and makes him go through this. But that's also not very interesting. Like it's just an arc, you know.
Yep.
Okay, you did it. Then you get Shiro, and you have like the whole villain in glasses thing with Shiro and Shiro's weird relationship with the uh who was the one that woman from the other clan who's stuck there, and then
Yep.
you have the whole running theme in Log Horizon that the adventure, the arch libertarianism of Log Horizon, that's this running background philosophy. And you don't really have anything that strong, you know, a viewpoint that's that I don't know exactly how to put this, but there's just something about the way Log Horizon presents its story that makes it stand out as very, it knows what it's doing. Log Horizon has something to say. I
Hmm.
guess that's what it is. When I watch Log Horizon, I know that Log Horizon is trying to say something. It has a point. There is a reason that it exists. I don't get that same impression with ReZero.
Right. With ReZero, I always got that strong impression of this was written because isekai are popular, and the guy,
Yeah,
didn't want to actually fight for anything interesting. Like, I'm going to pause my game again. Like, a good writer will make any idea that isn't inherently terrible, and there are inherently terrible ideas, good, entertaining, funny, etc. Like, I realized I no longer loved isekai after I wrote I'm in another world with a beautiful harem, but I'm gay, so it sucks. I wrote a 30,000 plus
yeah.
like light novel basically, where he multiple times just tries to sexually assault all the guys he comes across, and it's one of those things, like, once you get that this is basically the characters of every generic POS uh, isekai show, except I flipped it up so the guy's homosexual and not like heterosexual. It's you can't watch it anymore and be entertained unless you're willing to shut that part off for you, or at least that's true for me, because like One Punch Man has a similar story arc just about every time. One once you're past the first bit, basically you have your main character is doing something. He's not at the fight. The side characters have character drama and are at the fight, and either they win or they get trashed, or they win some, get trashed some. Then One Punch Man shows up and one punches things until they stop being a problem. And it's great because the guy has so much variety and heart to him that things like Moomin Rider feel great. Things like Garo trying to fight the status quo feel great. His theme even matches it, where it's like intense, and then there's like this da 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 da, and it goes back up again for it. Like, all these themes reinforce that these side characters have their own lives, but the hero still has that time to shine. And it still makes it entertaining to watch every single episode, even when there's kind of bad animation. Like,
You
there.
mentioned yourself, though, and I agree with you about this. You said, what the actual issue with One Punch Man is not exactly what people think. It's that after the Deep Sea King arc, it's already said everything that it had to say. It accurately diagnosed Saitama's problem, accurately diagnosed the philosophical issues at the core of the story and the
Hmm.
world, and then it effectively like solved that problem and solved those issues. How is Saitama going to overcome his isolation? With the help of people who know him and appreciate him and who are his friends. and
Mm-hmm.
he'll learn that he's actually not doing this because he wants to have a good fight, but to be a good, but because it's just the right thing to do, and that heroes really do matter because there's more to just physically stopping the bad guy. It's also about inspiring people and blah blah blah. And after that fight, it's kind of like there wasn't that much more for One Punch Man to do except
Mm-hmm.
wrap up Saitama's character arc.
Yep.
Like once it wrapped up Saitama and I guess Genos too, although they completely dropped the Genos revenge thing really quickly,
It's
actually.
he talks about it sometimes, but he's doing the hero thing now. It's like how I talk about how I want to be a
Which
great
is cool, actually. I kind of
right.
like that, but
And it's like he's doing things and he's being important. But
uh,
it's like if he
it's
can't
kind of
even
so
Mhm.
it.
I always get the feeling that he's
No,
on the
go ahead.
whole if I can't beat this weakling character, I won't be able to beat the people who killed my parents. That's what I get the feeling of, but I might be reading into it.
A little bit. The other thing is that the Deep Sea King fight is honestly like to this day I will rewatch that and it's one of I honestly
Oh
think
yeah,
if anything it doesn't get enough credit. Like
you're cutting in and out, Anthony.
One of the most perfectly in an anime.
Yeah,
Okay.
you caught up with us again, Anthony. No, you're right. I do think that the Boros arc is still pretty good as well, just because I enjoyed the fight with Boros. But it's like at that point it was like
Uh,
spectacle fighting. Hmm? Anthony, no. Where did my poor boy go? I love the hunting rifle.
it's truly one of the most
Nope, 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 nope. Anthony. I'm sure Anthony's there. He's just,
I am not a fan of my computer.
hey, that's fair.
I'm trying to figure out what happened and I noticed that my that the Discord froze on me a second and now it
Hmm.
is working. Okay. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to add about ReZero?
No, ReZero is a solved equation for me. Like I can talk about why I don't like it or whatever, but really I'd just be repeating myself a whole bunch because there's not enough in it for me to really um, deep dive down into. Like I might do a video about it someday, just because it would be something to talk about and it would probably get me some hate, which is good advertising. Um, but it's like a time thing versus anything else
Right.
like I could be doing. Especially since I wouldn't do it with like a script. I just do it because you know it needs to be done. Like the conversation needs to evolve, um, and it needs to evolve away from like the thing you like has. No, I'm kidding. It needs to evolve away from you know people taking the mediocrity of things like ReZero as something that's worth talking about. Like, congratulations, it has a conceit and so on that's better than your average bear, but it's still like it's still not worth consuming um, as it's just not worth it to me.
I don't know if I would go that far. I would recommend ReZero to people who like fantasy, but with the caveat that it's just fine.
Yeah.
That's what, and I will. I'm going to continue watching ReZero because I have been entertained. No Guns Life mm, was better.
Yeah.
But with that said, all of that done with, we can move on to part two, and I think it deserves an entire part two because there was so much going on with it. Decadence.
Wait, we haven't talked about Monster Girl Doctor.
Oh, I am so sorry. That is my
Good.
fault. Monster Girl Doctor.
It,
Go
it
ahead.
this is the most important anime of the season. Uh, yeah, it's pretty good. You should watch it. All right, on to Decadence. No, I'm
All
kidding.
right.
So here's the thing about Monster Girl Doctor. It fulfills the Monster Girl thing, and it fulfills like the medical drama thing. That gets better the more longer you do it. Like, I've used certain storylines that these things pop out, like the harpy egg, the oh yeah, I forgot you could dash slide. The harpy egg, the um, centaur hoof fetishism, I guess, and um, there's another one. There's another one. I can't remember it, but that's okay. As basically par for course. Like, congratulations, you've finished generic thing. I guess I'll put it say it like that. But once you get deeper into it, you start getting things like mermaids having uh, infections, like slimy gill or whatever it's called for fish, or what in the world? Uh, ooh, I'm trying to think of the other one, or sewing a golem back together, which is very interesting in a sort of it's interesting. It's more interesting than your average bear. Give it 2 episodes.
2 episodes. You
Yep.
know what? I'll give it a shot. Jeff
Yep.
said in his rundown of the season, Mother's Basement Jeff, that it had great character designs.
It did.
So let's go.
Yep. It's better. It's better character designs than most Monster Girl stuff. There's 3 series that have good Monster Girl design, and I'm not talking like elves or whatever. I'm talking actual, like, the full thing, and that's Monster
Yeah,
Musume.
Monster Girls.
Right. Monster Girl Encyclopedia, which is like the OG, and Monster Girl Doctor. Everyone else is kind of either a derivative of those 3, and even then, Monster Girl's Doctor is a derivative of Monster Musume. But we're gonna get Monster Musume light novels, so I'm pretty satisfied.
I will give it a shot. Just, because why not? I'll try it out.
Excuse me. Pardon me. Anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Um, Decadence. Go for it.
So, how about this? What did you think of the first episode?
The first episode was fantastic, practically a classic from the beginning. There's enough intrigue and enough information for me to enjoy it in a very genuine sense without having to like be like to some things that were popping out. It's got a Miyazaki feel that's honestly refreshing. It's got characters who act like characters, or if they do fall into the anime tropes, it feels more natural than in most anime being put out today, even ones with pretty good character design. Uh, Honestly, the first episode was absolutely worth it.
I had been looking forward to Decadence for a very long time, ever since I had seen trailers for it. It was directed by the guy who did Mob Psycho 100, and you could see it a little bit in the way the characters move. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just like it's subtle, but if you know it's the same director, you could definitely see a bit of it in the facial expressions and their movements. Uh, it looks great. I like the main girl, Natsume. I
Mm-hmm.
thought she was good. The big criticism of it that I saw from people was that it was derivative of a lot of other shows, but well executed. And yeah, the thing is, though, it was a first episode, so
Yep.
all you really need to do is make it compelling, and after that, you could start growing into what makes what you do specifically differently or better.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets us into, and by the way, for those who don't know, Decadence is about a giant moving fortress where the last of humanity live, and they're being attacked by giant monsters all the time called the Gadol. And humanity has to go out and like harvest the blood of the Gadol to keep the giant fortress moving. And humanity is divided into gears who fight the monsters and tankers who do everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character is a typical, her father was a gear who died, and she wants to be a gear, but because she only has one arm, she's forced to be a tanker. And no mention, by the way, the fact that she is a clearly not very large, clearly not very strong girl, and that also would probably disqualify her, but sure, why not?
Yeah.
Let's just roll with that.
She weighs
It's the
maybe
arm thing.
maybe 80
Yeah,
pounds soaking wet.
yeah,
Maybe.
but sure, the arm thing.
Right.
Because we have to pretend that women and men are identical in every way. Okay, to be fair to the show, people would just assume that at this point.
Right.
It's not the show's fault, but it did make me laugh a little bit where I'm like, yeah, it's the arm thing. That's the arm that clearly has all of the mobility and function of a regular arm. That's what disqualifies
Right.
you.
I mean, it's
But I
they might
bought
just
it.
be nice. Uh so like here's the thing, like if you're literally the last humans, you know what's more precious than a whole mountain of gold? A fertile female.
Yes.
They look like to me maybe
That was
10,000.
exactly what I was thinking when I was watching it. I'm like, that's why you're not in the army, Natsume. But I
Now,
get the show. It's
yeah,
not the show's fault because people just won't think of that nowadays.
right.
You know, I mean, they didn't do anything wrong. In fact, they did the right things.
Yeah.
From a storytelling perspective. I just found that, me personally, I found that kind of funny.
Yep.
But whatever.
And it's like I'm not saying that you should be oppressing women. I'm just saying that if the difference between eventually being destroyed by incest and genetic failure is like maybe 100 people, maybe, maybe, you don't spend lives like that.
Yeah.
And like, but don't worry, this doesn't take away the enjoyment. Like, if I wanted something super realistic or whatever,
No, it
like
doesn't. Not at
it
all.
doesn't. We would be going for a different experience. Oh my goodness. Uh, but as it stands, like it's within what I'm going to say, toleration.
Well, the thing is that I don't even know if it's a criticism of the show so much because they have to work with what the viewers are going to assume when they watch it. And let's face
Hmm.
it, nowadays, people will see her saying, I want to be a soldier. If you tell her no, everybody's just going to go, well, why not? Well, the answer is easy, but that's not what the audience is going to think nowadays.
Right.
I mean, the answer to why not is obvious because you're a girl.
Right.
Yeah, but I get it, and they did the work. They gave her the one arm and whatever,
Yeah.
um, and that works well enough. And I like the character Natsume. She's likable. You know,
Yeah.
she had,
You
I like
don't
the
want
way
to
she's
see her
animated.
face. You what? You do like
I
or
said
don't
I
like?
like the way she's
Okay.
animated.
Yeah. And you just don't want to see her face eaten by a gadol. I will say though,
Right.
I found the monsters super generic.
They're a little generic, but it wasn't something that bothered me. They were good enough.
Yeah.
Uh, I was happy with the animation. After episode 1, I was like, this show is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I'm here for it because that's what I was looking for. Which
Hmm.
brings us to episode 2. So, you said you fell asleep watching episode 2, right?
To be fair, I was really tired, like really tired.
Yes.
But
I'm not saying this as a criticism so much as like how much of it do you remember?
I remember them talking about the ARG like MMORPG elements, and I basically immediately fell asleep. I heard the words because I didn't fall asleep all the way, but it was like, oh, there goes that tension. And then like
Yeah.
every time I woke up, they were in the MMO section of it, and I just went like, and I went back to sleep. Because like here's the thing, they did hint at it in episode 1, with the master going off and like killing some dude, I
They
guess.
they really just hinted is pretty I guess that's the right word. It was really hinted though.
Yes. And so it's like, the second you said that it was weird to me, I was like, okay. And the second I saw this, it was like immediate two and two together. It reminds me of an anime that humanity has declined, where like everything is sort of like as we've been talking about so far, and it's it's about humanity in decline. And there's a hilarious thing about a piece of toast being like "eat me" and then ripping its face apart, um, which I enjoy immensely. And then the rest
I
of the show's
mean,
terrible.
the big comparison that everybody drew after episode 1 and even after episode 2 actually just because of the way Attack on Titan kind of reinvents itself later on is Attack on Titan,
Thing
right?
is,
For good
Attack on
reason.
Titan didn't reinvent itself.
I hear like after 3 seasons in that it really went off the rails with revealing the secrets behind it, how, you know, everything worked was very different than it appeared.
See, the thing is that sure, except the thing is that I could tell that this was the oh my goodness, this was the plot line that was being set up from the beginning. Like it didn't feel unnatural to everything. It's got the politics. It's got the secret wizard society or whatever it was. It's got all the stuff that makes Attack on Titan's plot pretty much exactly what they are describing it to
Now,
be. You know what I mean?
Attack on Titan, I've watched I think 3, 4 episodes. Everybody tells me that currently the show is actually very good.
Yes.
That 3 seasons, like I've been promised this and I believe it. You know, it's just something that I never got around to getting through because I wasn't really that into season 1. I didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love it. But everybody tells me like they swear to me it gets better.
Swear to
Season three's
me. Yep.
fantastic. Right. Season three's fantastic. It gets better. The writing is really great. Okay, fine. One
Mm-hmm.
day I'm gonna get to it. Decadence was compared big to Attack on Titan. Like that was honestly the biggest criticism after episode 1, but not after episode 2, except in the sense that I guess there are lots of secrets underpinning this world,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like Attack on Titan,
Ho
but
ho ho.
the tone was very different.
So, like,
Very different.
I do want to talk about Attack on Titan. I know that people are like, wow, look at these things. But, like, to me, there was a very clear progression. It starts off with a starter mystery. What's in the box? I mean, what's in the basement? And, everyone's like, oh, the answers are going to be in the basement. Well, guess what? These were the answers that everyone's talking about. But they weren't exactly the answers that people expected because people didn't know what to expect. Like there was enough I don't know if I want to say mystery, but there was enough intrigue that the conclusion that the basement, excuse me, offered people is bearable. Hey, Chris. Uh, if it wasn't so, people would be complaining about it more, and I wouldn't be afraid of spoilers because there'd be 100 videos about how Attack on Titan went bad. You know what I mean? Do you not know what I mean? Am I talking? I'm talking to myself again, aren't I? The meds aren't working. But there it is. I joke. I'm not on meds. Who do you think I am? But instead, we don't have the sort of cottage industry of tearing apart Attack on Titan. We have the cottage like we people barely actually make videos about it because the change up is so out there that people don't want to spoil it too much, or they don't know what to say about it because it's shaped like itself and it transforms everything about the show into something completely different. And I don't know if people can handle that, but maybe they can. I got dreams.
So, Decadence, from what I read, the one comment I read on one review of episode 2 was Attack on Titan waited 3 seasons before revealing its secrets, and I'm like, eh. Okay, so for people who don't know, we're gonna spoil the hell out of Decadence, but this is episode 2, so really, I mean, like, we can't talk about it otherwise, so
Yep.
looks like it's ruined for all of you. Mazel tov. Uh, so in episode 2, they have this episode 1, where they introduce the characters, the fight, with the big mobile fortress and whatever, like we've been talking about.
Yep.
And then in episode
Which is
2, they
pretty
go,
cool. Like it's great.
right. And then in episode 2, they go, all right. And that was our video game. Or to be more accurate, not a video game, but basically a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where he goes, this giant moving fortress is actually the game world, and fighting the monsters is the game. And you all get to use avatars, so nobody's actually dying. And if you're real lucky, you might get to meet humans. They're rare, but they exist.
Right.
So,
Which is,
th- which
like,
is weird. I didn't really know what to think of it. The weird thing is, people seem to be on board with it. I think people were kind of tired of the Attack on Titan format, so they were happy to see anything that switched it up, but I was more suspicious.
so my problem with that isn't so much that it's a bad concept, and I do like the fact that they were like, yeah, humans still exist. Kind of. They're around, maybe. But then that means that they're willingly. So,
Well, Natsume is the human.
right, of course. But that means that they're willingly letting other real humans die. And it's like it'd be kind of like having tigers fight for you in a oh my goodness, in like gladiatorial combat. There's like 500
Remember,
tigers.
they make a big deal though that the gears and the tankers that they mention, tankers almost never become soldiers.
Yeah,
Well, that's because they're the humans.
right.
So,
But it,
most of the time humans aren't going to be fighting the monsters.
yeah,
Like, it happens. The other thing though is that it's kind of unclear to me. Like, I think that all the humans think that everybody is a human,
yes,
including, so they think everybody is a human. But and some
right.
even the multicolored ones, which is a thing,
No, they view them as
and
gears. Like they're
yeah.
aliens to them, like legitimate aliens.
So the actual humans view the gears as aliens.
Yeah, like they don't view them as other humans. They're like, yeah, they're an alien species who helps us out. It's great.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was confusing me a little bit. Still though, uh, yeah, that makes some sense.
Hmm.
And what was the plot line with the main characters? So we have Natsume, who is our main girl, and her boss, who is the other main character, whose name I forget. So I'm just gonna call him Boss.
Not so, she calls him
Bossman.
boss too, but that's his. That's him. That's his personality and so on and so forth. But by the way, Natsume best girl this season.
Yeah, Natsume is a good character. I like her a lot. She reminds me a little bit of Michiru too, who was also a good character.
Yep, which is all right. So with oh my goodness, I can think of names. I'm sorry. So with I'm sorry, what was her name again? Mitsu
Natsume.
Natsume. Thank you. With like Natsume and the stuff that they're presenting for it, it's like I'm pretty on board with everything. Um, but it's just the setting that's getting to me. So it's like I know the writing is good, uh, which is more than what I can say about some things. But it's hard for me to see where it's going, and because I was sorry, it's thundering and lightning around here. Because like I was tired, I wasn't willing to put up with. Oh, look at that tension fluttering away into the breeze. Like what I didn't know what I was supposed to expect from it. I just knew that nothing important was going to happen this episode besides plot.
It was very strange.
It was.
Like, what was the whole thing going on with the boss? That his friends had cheated and he helped, so in order to get him on board, like, they catch them because the friends refuse to repent or whatever, they murder them. But the boss says that he'll work with them, so he's given a job finding and eliminating bugs, meaning killing people.
Yep.
And so that's like his punishment for cheating.
Right. And
Do I
now
have that right, or am I missing something?
well, I assumed it was something like that because they're clearly coercing him into it. Um, I wasn't sure entirely the details because again, I slept through most of it. Uh, but I assume that Michiru's gonna gonna discuss. There's gonna be a reveal thing, and it's gonna be this or that. I don't know. I'm not I'm not thinking very hard about it because if I do, it'll be like it'll start to kind of ruin it a bit. When in reality, it's better than it is better than something similar, like say humanity has declined, or ReZero or something like that. It's like it's one of those things. I
I
feel.
would call ReZero very similar to
I mean,
Decadent.
no. In the reveals, like you think it's going to be a great isekai thing, and the guy's going to get
Oh,
all.
that's what you mean.
Yeah.
I guess I thought ReZero did that fairly well.
Eh, it did it well
I
for
thought
what
it
it
did a
was.
good job with it. It was like what was weird with this was that they have a whole episode of it normal, and then episode two was just like, nope,
Yep.
everything you saw was wrong.
And there were hints of it at
And
the beginning, like so it wasn't as bad as that, but it's still
it
like
wasn't as bad, but it was also, how about this? If they hadn't done that, it never would have even occurred to me as an issue. Like,
right.
if they hadn't done anything, I would have said, okay, cool, that was episode one. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we would have watched episode 2. And of course, they can't just have it being fighting the Gavdol or whatever they're called every
Yeah,
episode.
the
Like they would have
Vidal or something.
yeah, they would have switched it up every episode, but it's like they would have had to, because Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress proves you can't just have a basic plot that's like it's like Attack on Titan, and then it's like yeah, it's just killing zombies, and one of the humans are evil or whatever. I can't remember. Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress was
I've
good and
never
bad.
seen it, so
You need to watch the first like 3 4 episodes just because like it'll like so Digibros one of his favorite videos that he's ever done for me is as in I enjoyed it, not that he did it for me, excuse me. That was imprecise wording. Um, is aesthetics is narrative. And he describes the idea of the important haircut, the costume change, or how the main character, and he uses the main character from Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress to describe the narrative change that he goes through um, throughout the series. He, he, has a haircut, and how his haircut changes is based on his personality and temperament at the time, and like how his clothing changes based on this, that, and the other thing. Um, you know, it's how do I want to put it? It the work that was put into Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress belies its final quality, as in they put a whole lot of work into it. That oh no, oh my goodness, it's one of those invisible Wendigo things that are absolutely terrifying. Um, there's more that went into it than meets the eye for the final quality, I guess I'll say. And I'm worried that Decadence will follow the same pattern, uh, but we'll find out because there's nothing that kills tension than it's all a game, kind of maybe, except there's real humans who can die if you fail, which actually is pretty good. That part's pretty good. But
That part's pretty. Yeah, that's what I'm worried. I'm worried about the tension of the story now because I'm
yep,
like,
it's like how do you have an immortal character? How do you make an immortal
what
character interest? What?
is going to do next should be and what it matters.
What?
Like I guess none of it matters. They're not in any real danger, so what am I worried about
Right.
as far as what's going to happen? Like why am I watching the show? What am I
Exactly.
watching it for? The
Right.
humans aren't really in danger. It's all a game.
Right.
Yes, it's good. That you're right. That's a good thing that the humans are actually dying. But what I mean is, human race is not fighting for anything. Going to happen in episode 3 that should make me want to tune in.
Yep.
Like, what am I waiting to see? Gear, so she's going to be the world's best video game player? Like, why do I care about this?
Right. But I'm already the
Okay.
world's best video game
She's
player.
great at video games.
Look at me playing it right now. This is only like my fourth attempt at this level, like fifth attempt, sixth attempt. I don't know. I think I accidentally pressed the reset button at least once. But it's yeah, you're right. Like that's why I don't like the lit RPG stuff. It feels like a game. It's like of course the heroes are going to live another time and then they're going to get all the loot and it's going to be great and so on and so forth. I don't know. There's a lot to it and it bothers me. But many things bother
That's
me.
I mean, that was I guess that was my issue with Decadence. At the end of the episode, I'm like, where do we go from here? Because, Natsume's journey no longer matters, right?
Right.
There's all of
Kind
the
of.
emotional heft from it. Yeah, from my perspective, all of the emotional heft from this journey has been robbed. Her father died fighting an alien game. Okay. She wants to be a gear to fight aliens in what is effectively a video game. She might die in a video game.
Right.
What will happen with the humans? Well, nothing. They'll be fine. It's aliens who are protecting them. The humans are in absolutely no long term danger. Are they
Right.
going to fight against the aliens? Well, maybe they will, but that has nothing to do with Natsume's story. That has nothing to do with her dream of becoming a gear. I feel like we're not really making any progress towards what the actual plot is, which is humans being used as alien playthings.
Yep.
Or maybe we are. In which case, I want to see that happen in episode 3. Because if it looks as if it's going to be spinning its wheels, I could get bored with this show very quickly. And
Yep.
I really don't want to because I really liked episode 1.
Yep.
It would be a shame. I would genuinely be very disappointed if this show ended up being a drop. So I hope that it knows what it's doing, but I'm not.
Yeah. I feel like it does know what it's doing, but the problem is that like the last two episodes have been kind of like the first episode was good. The second one kind of put me to sleep, but I was already tired, so it's not that bad. Um, but it's I don't know. It's not satisfying me.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. Like episode 3, for example.
Hmm.
Is it going to be about Natsume making? I don't care. Not I cared. I cared because they're fighting giant alien monsters that are trying to cause the extinction of humanity. It was a big deal. Right? Now it's no longer a big deal. Now, here's what I really want to know about. I want to know about how we're going to stop the aliens who are using humanity as playthings for a video game.
Yep. And I kind of
Like, are
hmm
we going to talk about that? I hope we talk about that.
right. What about that existential crisis that's coming on? What existential crisis? There is no existential crisis in Ba Sing Se. That was not as cool as I wanted it to be. It's yeah. It's one of those things that could go very bad or it could go very good. And it
And I can't tell. And I guess
guess we can't tell yet. But that's okay. But it's also not okay. But it's also okay. Mostly. Kind of. Point is that we're going to be watching episode 3.
tell me where they're going to go with the show because
I'm sorry,
yes,
dude. You're cutting out a lot, and then like all of a sudden, all of it's coming in at once.
I'm getting the same from you on my end.
Okay.
Every now and then, the exact. So I assume it's my laptop just because it always is.
There's also a thunderstorm going on around me, so who knows? It might be both of us this time. So I wanna drop by real quick and talk about what show was that? It was um, I'm trying to think of the name. Humanity Has Declined. We talked about Cabaneri, the Iron Fortress, a little bit, or at least I did. And
Mhm.
it's and it's worth talking about. Like Cabaneri is one of those grand dreams that failed, and that's actually not as damning as it sounds, because I'd rather have a dream that failed than something that never had a heart.
I agree.
Yep. And I know a lot of people can just agree to that because it means that somebody tried, somebody put themselves out there, and you know, sorry. The I think Decadence is of that same caliber, and I'm hoping that they continue to grow it out there so that it is genuinely worth watching.
Yes. I have high hopes for Decadence, but I'm also very wary of it now. I would have preferred, if it were me, I would have preferred they go in the traditional direction for this type of show. Now that they have not done that, I'm curious to see where they'll go.
Hmm. What's the traditional direction? Would you say, Anthony? Anthony, don't leave me alone with these people. These animals. I think he's down and out for a second. Now's my time to shine. Uh, yeah. Am I even connected to anything? Yes. I nearly died. So, all right. So the world got. So not the world God only knows. Um, what's the name of the damn thing? Humanity has declined. So humanity has declined is kind of a weird sort of feel to it. It's got that whole humanity has declined thing, and the main character is like an apprentice to a witch or something like that, and she has to go on special journeys to help out and get stuff done. Part of the problem is that a lot of it's fairly generic, give or take. And while the humor's there, occasionally they go for pretty unearned emotional heights that it neither wanted nor needed. It didn't need somebody to have um, the emotional feels that it did, but it still went for him anyway because it was kind of a hacky show. Um, and I'm hoping it doesn't go for the same sort of feel to it where it abuses the motion potential of a decent show for something worse than that. I can't hear you. I still have an internet connection, so I don't think it's me. I'm hoping it's not me. In fact, my internet connection's very healthy. All right, fantastic. Um, I should give him my phone number, honestly, at this point. I probably need to use something other than Discord. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about for this um, show. I guess I'm actually gonna check his. I'm actually gonna pull up Facebook. Huh. Find Anthony.
Testing.
Oh, you're back?
You can hear me now?
I can hear you now. What happened?
Input device again. Apparently, whenever it stops working, all I have to do is swap over the input device to whichever one is not being used, and that will make it work.
Oh ho ho.
I have no idea what happened. I did go on the comments and mention that what I meant by the standard way to go would just be her joining the army and then following the story from that point forward.
I getcha.
Just, a typical adventure action show.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like that wouldn't be bad, but it wouldn't be exceptional.
This has a chance to be exceptional, but it also has a chance to fall completely flat
No,
on its
no, no,
face.
no.
I am very curious to see what it does next. I will say that, and it's done its job in that respect.
Yeah, I getcha. Um, honestly, potential's like 90% of anything. Just because without that potential, it's not worth. Um, it's just not worth seeing.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Yeah.
it's just another monster girl doctor.
Ow. Ow.
I'm sorry. I'll give Monster Girl Doctor a shot.
Yeah, at least give it a shot. Like the thing is that like these shows do deserve like. So we talked about just so two sequels, No Game No Life and ReZero, and then there's also Monster Girl Doctor and Decadence. Those are four shows that we in general view as worth seeing. None of the
No
others,
Guns Life, we
and
mentioned.
no, I mentioned that as a sequel. What did I say?
No, oh. You said no game, no life. Now I get what you mean.
Yeah,
Never
sorry,
mind.
I meant
Keep
No
going.
Guns Life. I know, right? The No Game No Life sequel. Ooh. But like everything else is basically nope. I don't want the weird gay isekai. I don't want the bullying underclassman upperclassman dynamic. I don't care about the guy who gets into Netorare because his girl dumped him. I don't want to hear about some overpowered demon guy. And it's like, yeah, but it's like the ultimate isekai power fantasy. And I go, yeah, it's the ultimate isekai power fantasy. I don't want to watch it. Um, the God of High School might be interesting, but I haven't really felt it yet. Um, apparently, there's another second season of Alicization for Sword Art Online, and it's like I don't care. I don't care. Like Peter Grill to Kenjin to whatever. Um, I don't care about that, even though it's got monster girls in it. I don't care about Dokyo Hentai X Eros. Um, like these are all incredibly uninteresting shows. Uh, Lapis Relights. I haven't. No one's even talked about this one that I know of. Matt. Oh wait, no, he did. Except it was like the first one, and it was like magic of music, magic of literal magic in their performances. Okay, I wish it was something else though. I wish it was something that actually sounds interesting. The only thing I'm watching that sounds interesting that I won't watch on principle is Koi to Producer Evil X Love, which is about a mystery about her dad dying, and she has to figure out which of four beautiful men did it. And the conspiracies involved. But it's like, I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to watch Ninja Collection. There's something called a gag anime set in Kashiwa featuring high school girls and mysterious creatures. And it's like, I haven't even heard of some of these ones at the bottom there. Like, it's an unfortunate season. Uh, you know, it's an unfortunate time to be alive in. Uh, and there's, I'm just looking through it here. Um, there's just nothing for us to latch onto and say, yeah, you know, this is this. If Decadence falls through, and
Watching.
yeah, if Decadence falls through, there's honestly, genuinely, nothing. Nothing worth
That's not
watching.
true. There's no guns left.
Okay, fine. I meant nothing new. I'm sorry. I misspoke. If Decadence falls through, there's nothing truly new that's worth watching this season.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
Yep, but it's 2020, guys. You're gonna have to expect it. Uh,
You do, but I'm holding out hope for Decadence. It's certainly enough for me to keep watching it.
I will be watching.
They went for broke.
Hmm. Oh
I
yeah.
give them credit for that. They could have gone a safe route and I would have thoroughly enjoyed it, but they went for broke. Maybe they'll fall flat on their face. Maybe they'll hit a home run.
Hmm. And it's I wish them the best, but it's still one of those things that just kind of like doesn't doesn't if okay they could have all the genuine vision in the world, but if they can't pull off what they're trying to do, it'll fail, just like Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress failed. It'll be a
Exactly.
beautiful failure. It'll be a failure worth talking about, but it won't be the success they're looking for, and that's a damn shame. Hmm.
But we don't know yet.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're right. All right, I've said basically everything I've wanted to say about this stuff. You have anything else for us, Anthony?
Uh, Only thing is, my quick review of the last season. Best show was season 2 of Kaguya-sama, and then followed by Gleipnir, followed by Tower of God, very, very close to each other. Both were
Mm-hmm.
quite good.
Gleipnir was worth
And
watching.
that's it.
I'm just looking through it real quick. Gleipnir was worth watching. Kami Noto, Tower of God was worth watching. I didn't finish either of them, but that's more on me than anything else.
I did finish both. Gleipnir pleasantly surprised me.
I did read all the
Uh,
manga Gleipnir, though. I'm caught up on that.
Gleipnir was pleasantly surprising. I thought that the reveal was the big reveal at the end of the season on was good. Uh, I thought the character development was quite good. I think the story's pretty fun. You
Hmm.
know, it's very well animated, which is always it's just nice, good to appreciate. Uh, no masterpiece by any means,
Yeah.
but better than it had any right to be.
The,
Tower of God
mhm.
was another one. I know that there were people who were fans of the original manhwa seemed to be very split on it. As somebody who never read it, I liked it.
Hmm. Let's see here. The only other thing that's worth watching at least the first episode of is Girl and Dinosaur, Gal and Dinosaur. Just because it's
Yeah, I would say watch it and see if it's your sense of humor or not. Because
right,
if it is up your alley, then you'll probably find it hilarious.
right,
And if not, you'll know very quickly. So no, no harm, no foul.
right. Like, but watch the full episode because it's
Mhm.
it's wild. Um, Other than
With
that,
that said, if you finish episode one and you don't get it, then you probably just don't get it.
yeah,
So
like nobody's no. I'm not gonna die on that hill. Uh, yeah, no. So like we are sadly impoverished compared to better years and better seasons. Um, but that's okay. That's how it is. This is 2020, and we need to bear with it.
look, it's all good because Log Horizon season 3 is coming and Miyazaki is making a new movie.
You're right.
So everything is gonna be fine. Gotta be
Everything's
patient.
gonna be okay. And then Miyazaki coughs in his studio. Uh, Looking for the future,
You know
actually.
what? That would be a guaranteed hit though, wouldn't it?
I know, right? Billions of dollars. There are a few interesting shows coming up in fall 2020. Fall 2020 is looking to be a much better season than this one. Jujutsu Kaisen, which is about demons eating people, um, looks
Oh yeah,
interesting.
that looks cool.
What's the other one? Fumetsu. Oh yeah, Fumetsu no Anata might be all right, but I don't. I've got doubts about that because like the series kind of devolved the longer it went on. Weirdly, as the character evolved, the interest devolved. X Arm looks okay. Cyberpunk girl and her cyborg partner solve things. Something something
That
brain
could be
something.
good.
Uh, I'm just sort of pulling it through based on first impressions. Um, and that might be it. When is Log Horizon supposed to come out?
January. It was going to be the fall, but of course it was pushed back.
Yeah.
So January.
Yep. And in January, Doctor Stone Wars, Promise Neverland season 2, which will have the Goldie Pond set, which was pretty decent. Um,
Is the
Log.
Demon Slayer movie gonna be coming out around then?
I thought it already came out. The Demon Train, right?
Did it come out?
I'm not sure.
Nobody tells me these things.
Let me look actually. Oh no, it comes out fall 2020.
Oh, so it comes out soon.
Yep.
Nice. Now that's something to look forward to next season.
Yep. And I know I'm certainly looking forward to that because Demon Slayer is pretty great. All right. That's everything. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for watching me playing my game. If oh hey Bradford, I just want you to know I shilled your Indiegogo. In fact, you guys should check it out. I put the link down in the description below. Bradford Walker produces excellent fiction, and so does David Halquist. David Halquist has more of a tough and rumble private eye, where Bradford Walker is more high minded and Arthurian in all the best ways for both of them. If you like a bit low, if you like a bit high, check them out. Anything for us, Anthony?
Uh I've said everything I have to say. Today was particularly bad technically, which is saying something with me, but I still had a good time.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a good one. And join us next week for whatever we bring up.